what I'd like to ask David is your views on the future of learning in this new network world, and where you think it's going, what the challenges are.
Well, I think people are finding out how to do things for themselves, so they don't need anybody showing them. And I think little hints like Facebook are a good example of how people just find their way to what they want, and learn how to do what they want by themselves, make their own networks, and very, very quickly, anything they want to find out, they ask their little network. And their little network is big, it's not little anymore, it gets big very quick, really quick. So I think people like us trying to sort of ride the crest of the wave, well, I hope, get left behind all the time. Because kids find out how to do it themselves, and they find out in ways that we don't even see what they're doing until it's far too late. From a great distance, you think, oh, how did they manage to do that? Why didn't I think of that?
So at what point do you think that people stop going to universities where the people in charge, as you said, are a bit of a problem because they have old ways of doing things and they're not necessarily connected? So they're setting up, or they want you to set up a program, which is fortunate for the students, I think, because you obviously have some clue as to what people need in networking. But the degree granting institutions are in some cases setting a syllabus that isn't quite what people really need, because they can do things themselves. So at what point do they say, well, the heck with that, we don't want to pay for this degree? Right now they're quite happy to pay for it, and we were talking the other day about how, well, that's how we get paid, because if people can do things for themselves, then there aren't really any paychecks, so I don't think we're too worried about that, because there are enough people who aren't clued into that, who would still pay us to teach them and give them the degree. So my question for David is, at what point do you think that will change? At what point will they stop wanting this degree and paying all this money for it, when in fact they can do what you're teaching them how to do, which is to go out and find things for themselves?
We meet people all the time who do that already.
Yeah, sure.
They kind of skip around the whole game that we set up for them, and they just get to where they want. And often the most interesting people you meet are often those people but they haven't got any of those bits of paper. It's a good example. He's kind of skipped around all the normal posts. So I think it's been happening a long time already, and what's happening in traditional education is that, just like everything else, brand is becoming more and more and more important all the time, and people want the brand.
Well, that's the degree.
Yeah, maybe. But take the fact that you can get an awful lot of free stuff from Harvard or MIT these days. You get whole lecture courses. You don't get the piece of paper at the end, maybe.
But do you need the lecture? I mean, you get your information in other ways. Because
yeah, sure you can. Maybe some of the good stuff is there. And when we're building degree courses these days, we often we sometimes pick pieces which are from Harvard or MIT because they happen to be the best we can find. Often we find stuff in very unusual places, which is just as good or better. And at the moment we're putting it together with somebody who's putting a brand on the top and saying you've got our degree.
So do you think it's more valuable to construct a syllabus like that, or is it more valuable to teach people how to construct their own syllabus?
But that's hard.
I think it's important to teach people how to ask the right questions.
Oh, I know, sir.
Yep, I agree. And that's the job of the teacher.
It'll be more like a medieval degree where you find everything out for yourself, and then you have a Bible and you prove to somebody that you know what you're talking about. Because why it can't be like that? You don't have to go through a degree mill at university. It's just awful.
So you could know anything.
Classrooms never happen. The teacher will hate it.
You make your choices and
off-putting.
take care of that. Yeah. Does the role of the institution of learning then become the judger of the quality of your answers, because if you have an answer that satisfies you, it might not satisfy anybody who looks at it with knowledge power or knowing power, understanding power. I want those powerful. Great.
Absolutely. They'll always be there.
Not really.
Exams will never go.
So how are you enjoying the gala dinner, Michael?
I'm thoroughly enjoying the gala dinner. Especially impressed with the fact that they managed the fireworks for us. Nice touch.
How's the gala dinner?
Pretty good. Almost as good as last night's gala dinner. But we have to drink a little bit more beer and we'll rejudge that.
Whoa!